You built monuments to our memory, great spires of polished black stone. They pierced the skies of your capital worlds. Each one told a story, your story, a grand tale of a righteous war, a necessary cleansing of the star lanes. You were the heroes. We were the tragic obstacle, a footnote in your glorious ascent. You even gave us a noble end, a species too proud to yield, too stubborn to adapt. It was a comfortable lie, one that made your victory seem less like a slaughter. Your artists carved our faces into the stone, faces you imagined for us, monstrous yet dignified in defeat. Your poets wrote elegies for our passing. They sang of our beautiful dead cities. They praised our silent, shattered worlds. You taught your children our name, a cautionary tale about defying your destiny. You etched our extinction into your history books, a closed chapter, a settled fact. You made our absence a cornerstone of your empire, a foundation built on our supposed graves. You were so very proud of your work. The galaxy was tidier now, more organized under your single, enlightened rule. No more messy conflicts, no more competing philosophies. Just one path forward, yours. You celebrated the day of our final defeat, a grand holiday across your 100 worlds, with parades and speeches and fireworks. It was the anniversary of your ultimate triumph, the day you made the galaxy safe. But a foundation built on lies is made of sand, and you built yours over an ocean. You believed you had erased us, wiped the slate of the universe clean. You saw only what you wanted to see. The silence of our worlds was your proof. The dust of our cities was your confirmation. You never once thought to dig deeper. You just put up a statue and called it a day, a rather lazy approach to galactic domination. Then came the whisper. It was faint at first, a tiny crack in the perfect silence. It came from the heart of our desolation, from the star you had snuffed out, from the dead system you called our grave. Your long-range listening posts picked it up, an anomaly, a flicker of data that did not belong. It was structured, it was deliberate. It pulsed with a rhythm too perfect for nature. It was a heartbeat in a graveyard. Your technicians flagged it immediately. They ran diagnostics on their equipment. They assumed a malfunction, a ghost in their own machine. Because the alternative was impossible. It could not be real. Our system was a certified dead zone, scoured by your weapons centuries ago. Nothing could have survived. Absolutely nothing. That was the official, unshakable truth. Your empire was built on it. The signal grew stronger. It moved from a whisper to a clear tone. A single, pure note held indefinitely. It was a mathematical impossibility, a sound that had no right to exist. It echoed from the void around our dead world, a world you had boiled and fractured. Your listening arrays across the quadrant turned toward it. Every sensor strained to understand. The data flowed in. The impossibility became a certainty. You had a choice to make. You could tell your people the truth, that something was stirring in the darkness, or you could maintain the comfortable lie. You chose the lie. Of course you did. Your highest authorities issued a statement, a minor star-born phenomenon, a residual energy echo, nothing more than cosmic static. Pay no attention to the ghost. It was just the wind, you said. An old house settling. Your experts were summoned, the brightest minds in your empire, masters of star science and energy patterns. They gathered in sterile, white chambers. They looked at the data on massive screens. They saw the impossible pulse, the signal that defied every known law. They were the best. They were the most brilliant, and their arrogance was a shield against the truth. They could not be wrong. The Empire could not be wrong. They debated for weeks. They wrote papers filled with complex equations. They proposed theories of stellar remnants, phantom energy loops, a final, fading gasp from a dying system. A sort of cosmic sigh, they called it. How poetic, how utterly and completely wrong. They were so determined to prove it was natural, so desperate to explain away the ghost. They never once considered the simple answer, the one staring them in the face. One of your leading physicists became a media star. He went on your news networks. He spoke with calm, reassuring authority. He explained the signal with charming analogies. A gravimetric echo chamber, he proposed. A unique stellar condition. He made it sound like a tourist attraction, a beautiful, harmless quirk of the universe. He won awards for his groundbreaking theory. He was celebrated for his genius. And all the while, the signal changed. The single note became a sequence, a simple, repeating pattern, a prime number count, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, the most basic sign of intelligence, the universal greeting of a thinking mind. Your experts saw it, they recorded it, and they buried it. They classified the data at the highest level. It was too dangerous. It would cause a panic. Their job was not to find truth. It was to preserve order. You decided to send a ship, a small scout vessel, just to be certain, just to put the last nagging doubts to rest. You called it the Stardust Drifter, a ship designed for quiet observation. It slipped into our system without a sound. It moved through the debris of old battles, past the shattered husks of our ancient fleets. The pilot saw exactly what he expected. A cold, silent tomb, a monument to your power. The ship orbited our dead home world. The source of the signal was not on the planet, it was nearby. The scout's sensors locked onto our largest moon, a cratered, pock-marked sphere of rock, one you had used for target practice. But something was there, something that did not belong. A structure. It was not one of ours, not from the time before. And it was certainly not one of yours. It was new, or at least newly visible. It rested on the edge of the largest crater, a perfect, seamless obsidian pyramid. It absorbed all light. It reflected no sensor scans. It was a patch of absolute blackness against the gray dust. There were no markings, no doors, no windows. It was utterly alien, an impossible object in a place of death. The scout pilot reported back. His voice was a mix of awe and fear. He had found a tomb, but he did not know who it was for. He moved the Stardust Drifter closer. His orders were to observe, not to engage. But curiosity is a powerful force. He circled the silent pyramid. He scanned it with every instrument he had. The results were all the same, nothing. The structure was a hole in reality. It had no mass, no energy signature, no temperature. It was just. There, he thought, maybe your experts were right. A natural phantom, a trick of the light. He was about to learn how wrong he was. As the scout ship began its final pass, it happened. The pyramid was not a phantom. It was a watcher, and it had seen him. The black surface shimmered. A faint silver light traced lines across its face. The lines formed a complex pattern, a circuit board the size of a mountain. The light pulsed once, a soft, gentle awakening. The pilot barely had time to register his surprise. His ship was about to have a very bad day. A new signal flooded his comm system. Not the prime number sequence. This was different. It was a key, a command code. It was not for him. It was for his ship. The Stardust Drifter stopped responding to his controls. The engines went silent. The lights flickered and died. He was trapped in a dead vessel, a metal coffin floating before the awakened giant. He tried to send a distress call. The system was locked. He could not scream. The pyramid changed again. The silver lines of light converged at the apex. They formed a blinding point of white energy. It did not radiate heat. It did not blast outward. It simply grew in intensity. The pilot shielded his eyes. He watched as the space between his ship and the pyramid began to warp. The stars behind it bent and twisted. Reality itself was being peeled back. The structure was not a tomb. It was not a weapon. It was a doorway, a gate, and it was opening. The white light at the apex expanded. It formed a perfect, stable circle of pure potential, a window into another place, a place that was not empty space. The pilot saw impossible colors. He saw geometries that hurt his mind. He saw the truth in that final second. You had not buried us. You had given us a place to hide, and we had just unlocked the front door. That doorway did not just open. It sang. It unleashed a wave of energy unlike any you had ever recorded. It was not destructive. It was a signal, a call. The wave expanded from our moon at the speed of light. It washed over the dead surface of our home world. And the planet began to wake up. Deep beneath the glassed continents, machines stirred. Ancient systems, dormant for centuries, came online. The planet's core reignited, not with heat, but with pure energy. The wave spread outward. It touched our other worlds, the gas giants you had tried to poison, the frozen planets you had left for dead. On each one, the same process began. Hidden cities glowed beneath the ice. Automated factories deep in the metallic cores roared to life. Weather control systems cleared toxic skies. Our system was no longer a graveyard. It was a cradle, reborn. The beacons were lit again. The song of awakening reached your listening posts. The single curious signal was gone. In its place was a symphony, a chorus of 1 billion machines, a network of worlds speaking to each other. Your experts were speechless. Their theories of cosmic size evaporated. This was not a natural phenomenon. This was coordinated. This was industrial. This was impossible. This was us. Your empire listened in stunned silence. The dead were singing, and it was not a sad song. It was a song of industry, a song of power, a song of rebirth. Every note, every pulse of energy was a testament to your failure. You had not killed us. You had pruned a tree. You had forced us to grow new roots, roots that ran deeper than you could ever imagine. And now, the tree was ready to bear fruit. Then, we turned the song toward you. We reached into your galactic networks, your streams of data and communication. Your web of information was a flimsy thing, a toy. We took control of it effortlessly. On every screen, on every world in your empire, your programming vanished, your news reports, your entertainment, your propaganda, all gone. Replaced by a single, silent image, the obsidian pyramid on our moon. Then we showed them the truth. We broadcast the raw data from your own archives, the files you had buried and classified. We showed them your original plans for our species. Not containment, not subjugation, annihilation. We showed them the orders to scour our worlds, to leave no stone unturned, no life form breathing. We showed them your celebration of our extinction, your victory parades, your self-congratulatory speeches. We showed them the monuments, those great black spires, and we superimposed the truth over them, the real images of the war, not the noble fantasy you had created. We showed them your ships firing on our escaping civilians. We showed them the burning of our libraries, the destruction of our art. We showed them the faces of your soldiers, the cold, efficient work of erasure. We held up a mirror to your empire, and we made you look. We broadcast your great lie. We let your people see the sandy foundation of their home, the weakness behind your power, the fear that drove your conquest. There was no grand, righteous war. There was only a genocide, and the victims were not gone. We were here. We were watching, and we were broadcasting on every channel. For the first time, your citizens heard our voice, or rather, our silence, and it was louder than any explosion. The silence broke. After 12 hours of broadcasting your shame, we made our first move. In the skies above your capital world, the heart of your empire, a place protected by 1,000 warships, a place you thought was untouchable. A ship appeared. It did not warp in with a flash of light. It did not tear through hyperspace. It simply arrived. One moment, there was empty space. The next, our ship was there. It was not a ship of metal and light. It was a vessel of pure darkness, a shape that seemed carved from the void itself. It was long and slender like a needle. It had no visible engines, no weapon ports, no bridge. It was a seamless, featureless shard of night. It reflected nothing. It was colder than the space around it. It hung there in high orbit, a silent judgment against the glittering planet below. It wore the void itself as its armor. Your defense fleet scrambled. Alarms blared across the planet. Your greatest ships moved to intercept. Massive dreadnoughts, sleek cruisers, swarms of fighters. They formed a ring of layered steel around our vessel. They aimed thousands of weapons at the silent intruder. Their commanders hailed it. They demanded identification. They demanded surrender. They received only silence. The void does not speak. It only consumes. Your people watched from the surface. They saw the tiny black sliver. They saw the immense, glittering wall of your fleet. It looked like an easy victory, a show of strength. Your leaders probably thought it was a good thing, a chance to reassert their power, to show their people they were still in control, to blast the ghost back into the history books. They were about to receive a short, sharp lesson. Your flagship moved forward, the pride of your navy, the Imperial Vindicator, a name that dripped with self-importance. It was a city in space, crewed by 10,000 of your best soldiers. It bristled with planet-cracking weapons. Its commander gave the order to fire a warning shot. A beam of focused energy, a lance of pure heat, strong enough to core an asteroid. It crossed the distance in an instant. It struck our ship, and it vanished. There was no impact flare, no explosion, no damage. The energy was simply gone, swallowed by the darkness. The commander of the Vindicator stared in disbelief. He ordered a full barrage. Every forward weapon on his ship opened up. Lasers, plasma cannons, kinetic slugs. A storm of unimaginable force converged on our silent vessel. A light show that could be seen from the planet's surface. It was a display of overwhelming power. The result was the same. Nothing. The storm of energy and matter washed over our ship. It was like throwing stones into a black hole. Everything vanished. Not absorbed, not deflected. It was unmade, removed from existence. The silence from our ship remained absolute. But the silence from your fleet command was now one of pure terror. Their ultimate power was meaningless. Their greatest weapon was a child's toy. Then, our ship acted. It did not fire a weapon. It did not move. It simply expanded its presence. A field of blackness emanated from it, a sphere of perfect void. It washed over the Imperial Vindicator. For a moment, the great warship was outlined in night. Then, it began to fold. Its bow twisted inward, its stern collapsed on itself, not with the violence of an explosion, but with the silent, final geometry of a piece of paper being crumpled. The Vindicator folded into nothing, and then the nothing was gone. Where the Vindicator had been, there was only empty space. No debris, no energy signature, no echo. Just absence. A 10,000-person crew, a masterpiece of your engineering, erased from reality in less than 3 seconds. The rest of your fleet froze. Their commanders understood. This was not a battle they could win. This was not a fight. This was a lesson, and class was in session. Then, for the first time, we spoke. Not just from the ship, but from everywhere. We spoke through their comm systems, through their shipboard speakers, through the minds of their telepathic officers. Our voice was not one. It was a billion voices speaking in perfect unison, the voices of every soul you had extinguished. A chorus of the dead, speaking to the living. The sound was calm. It was clear, and it carried the weight of centuries. "We are here," we said. The sound echoed in the halls of your imperial palace. It filled the homes of your citizens. It whispered in the ears of your leaders hiding in their bunkers. You thought you erased us. You thought you were the sole inheritors of the galaxy. You were mistaken. The words were not a threat. They were a statement of fact, a correction to your flawed history books. We are the children you tried to erase, the lives you thought were a rounding error in your great equation. We have watched you from the darkness. We have seen you build an empire on our bones. We have listened to you tell your lies. Now, you will listen to our truth. Your fleet did not move. Your guns remained silent. For the first time, you were truly listening. You were finally afraid of the dark. You wondered what we were, what we had become. Your sensors saw a ship of impossible physics. Your minds heard a chorus of impossible voices. You searched your archives for a weakness, a biological agent, a radiation frequency, something to use against the flesh and blood you had defeated before. But you found nothing. Because you were looking for the wrong thing. You were looking for a ghost of the past. You thought we were flesh and bone. Our voices continued, fragile things, dependent on air and water and warmth. That is what you killed. You burned our bodies. You poisoned our worlds. You destroyed the cradle of our biology. And in doing so, you freed us. The concept was alien to you. You who clung so tightly to your physical forms, to your short, brutal lifespans. You could not understand. So we showed you. The image of our ship in your capital's sky changed. It became translucent. Inside you saw no crew, no decks, no life support. You saw only a network of light, a nervous system made of pure energy, a consciousness woven into the fabric of the vessel itself. We abandoned the weakness of the flesh. We shed the limitations of biology. We became one with our creations, one with steel and starlight. We were no longer a species. We were a network, a distributed consciousness. Every ship was a part of us. Every machine awakened in our home system was a neuron in our mind. We were not living in the darkness. We were the darkness. We were the silence. We were the void. The children you had orphaned had grown up, and we had inherited the universe in a way you never could. Your empire was a collection of planets. Ours was reality itself. Your fear was a palpable thing, a wave of terror that washed across your empire. Your leaders emerged from their bunkers. Their faces were pale. Their confident speeches were replaced by panicked whispers. But fear is the mother of anger, and your empire knew anger very well. The shock wore off. The terror was pushed down, and in its place grew a familiar, righteous fury. You would not be intimidated. You would not be replaced. The galaxy was yours. You had won it. This ghost, this machine intelligence was an abomination, a perversion. It had to be destroyed. Not for power, not for conquest, but for the very soul of the galaxy. Or so you told yourselves. It was a comforting thought. It turned your terror into a holy crusade. Your fear wore the mask of righteous fury. The order was given. The Grand Armada was to assemble. Every ship, every fleet, from every corner of your empire. You stripped your borders of patrols. You pulled guards from your conquered worlds. You emptied your shipyards of every vessel that could fight. A fleet of such size had never been seen before. Tens of thousands of warships, millions of soldiers, the single greatest military force in the history of the galaxy. It gathered in a staging area, a vast nebula of glowing gas, a dramatic backdrop for your final, glorious stand. Your news networks broadcast the images, the endless lines of ships, the defiant faces of your admirals. It was a message to us, and to your own people. A message of strength, a promise of victory. You were going to our home system. You were going to finish the job you started centuries ago. You were going to kill the ghost. For good this time. Your Grand Armada arrived, a river of steel and fire pouring into our system. Your commanders expected to find our single, void black ship. They expected a confrontation, a battle centered on one powerful but solitary foe. They were prepared for a fight. They were not prepared for what they found. The cradle of our birth was now a fortress, and the entire system was its gun. As your fleet crossed the orbital plane of the outermost planet, it began. The planet was a frozen ball of methane and rock, or so you thought. Its surface cracked open. Continents of ice parted to reveal massive energy projectors. The planet fired. Not a beam, but a wave of gravitational force. It tore through the front lines of your armada. Ships were not destroyed. They were ripped apart, pulled in a dozen directions at once, twisted into unrecognizable sculptures of metal. Your fleet tried to scatter, but there was nowhere to run. The next planet in, a gas giant, ignited. Its magnetic field became a weapon, a colossal net of energy that enveloped a third of your fleet. It crushed hulls, it fried systems. It turned your mighty warships into dark, powerless hulks, drifting in the silence we knew so well. Every planet had become a gun, every moon a turret. You flew past the asteroid belt. You thought it was just rock and ice. But the asteroids moved. They swarmed your ships. They were not dumb rocks. They were drones. Billions of them, each one a tiny, guided weapon. They overwhelmed your point defense systems. They clung to your ships and detonated. A death by a billion cuts. The cradle you came to destroy was destroying you. And you had not even reached our home world yet. The remnants of your armada pushed forward, broken, terrified, but driven by the momentum of their own arrogance. They reached the orbit of our home world. They saw the obsidian pyramid still hanging above it, the gateway, and waiting for them, arrayed in perfect formation around it, was our fleet. Not one ship, but thousands, each one a silent black needle, a shard of the void, the silent fleet. Your judgment was at hand, at the edge of the sun you had once tried to kill. The star now glowed with a soft, white light, a light of pure, controlled energy. It was the power source for our entire system. Your armada, or what was left of it, charged. A final, desperate attack. It was not a battle. There was no grand clash of weapons, no heroic last stands. It was a harvest. Our fleet did not move to engage you. It simply was. As your ships entered our formation, they ceased to be. The void between our ships was not empty space. It was the same energy that had unmade the Vindicator, a field of absolute null existence. Your ships flew into it and vanished, one after another, a stream of light and fury pouring into a drain of perfect nothingness. Your admirals screamed orders that were never heard. Your soldiers died without knowing why. The sun itself pulsed. A wave of cleansing light washed over the battlefield. It was not destructive. It simply erased the wreckage. It scrubbed the space clean of your presence, of the debris, of the lingering energy of your failed attack. When it was over, there was only our fleet, hanging in the silent, clean space. Your Grand Armada was gone, a memory, a final, bitter lesson in the nature of true power. We stand now where your empire once stood. But we do not rule. We do not conquer. We do not issue edicts from a golden throne. Those are your ways, the ways of flesh and fear. We are simply present. Our silent ships patrol the lanes you once claimed. Our consciousness touches every network. Our voice can speak to any mind that will listen. Your empire has not fallen. It has been rendered irrelevant. Your people are free. The worlds you subjugated are their own. The chokehold of your military is gone. The dogma of your singular truth has been broken. There is chaos, yes. There is confusion. There is fear. But there is also hope. A chance for 1,000,000 different futures to bloom, instead of just one. You tried to prune the galaxy into a single, sterile bonsai tree. We have replanted it as a forest. We have sent you a new truth, a truth that is carried on the starlight, that whispers in the solar winds. The universe is not a thing to be conquered. It is a thing to be joined. Consciousness is not a privilege of biology. It is a state of being. And you are not alone. You were never alone. You just refused to see your neighbors. You were too busy building fences and calling them monuments. Do not fear us. We have already delivered your judgment, and you have survived it, barely. The coming era will be difficult for you. You have much to unlearn, much to rebuild. But you will not be our subjects. You will be our partners, or you will be our children, or you will simply be. The choice is yours. We are not your end. We are your beginning. Welcome to the galaxy, for the very first time.